fun little thing.
It's a good souvenir for sure.
Right. Thanks.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to MATHurdays. Math's so fun. We do it on Saturdays. My name is Teresa Wells, and I've been teaching online now for, I think 11 years now. And today we're going to do a math lesson that really focuses on meaningful ways of talking about mean, median, mode, and range. On the first slide, you'll see I have a link of over 40 recordings and templates. We've been doing MATHurdays now for over a year. And on slide 2 is where you can go to get templates and other recordings. I'd like to begin with successes and celebrations. What's going on in your lives? And if you would share them with me on slide 3 or 4, I'd love to hear what everyone is up to. The link for the slides are in the chat box. And I've got mine on here. We have big gusts of wind right now in Northern Virginia where I'm located, so badly that actually we had a tree in our backyard fall down. It missed both houses and did very little damage. So that was very good news. And my son, this is a picture of him flying a kite. He was very excited that he didn't have to get a running start because the gusts were so big. So let's hear what's going on with all of you all. Meg, happy belated birthday. What did you do for fun?
Thank you. My mom and I went out for dinner, and we just took a walk around the neighborhood. Got lots of nice cards and visits from friends. A couple of neighbors surprised us by coming over and giving their birthday wishes. It was really sweet.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. And thank God everybody was safe at your house. That's always an unpleasant scare.
Yeah, it was shocking, but everyone was definitely safe. We had a teeny tiny bit of damage done to a fence that we were able to fix in like an hour. So pretty incredible considering that was a massive tree. Raha, how's the napping going?
So, allergy decided to kind of attack my sinus situation, and I was very congested, so all I could do was nap, I'm grateful for. So all I've done is nap throughout the week, and I feel a little guilty because I didn't do too much work, but that's okay. I'll make up for it.
Oh, don't feel guilty. I am the opposite of so many Americans, especially in academia. So many people in America say, you have to do all this work so that you can then be rewarded with playtime, relaxing time, fun time. I am the exact opposite. If there is something important due, I will find a way to super relax, party hard, have a blast, do something great, and it fills my bucket. And then I find that the next day when I have something due, I can just bang it out in a day. And that's just something about my personality. And I like to share it because I think so often, we're the other way around and we don't value that. But yeah, fill your bucket. You'll have so much more to give. Oh my
Oh,
goodness! Look at these puppies. What's going on? Are these two new puppies? What kind of puppies are they?
Hi, this is Stephanie. So I'm really, really excited. So I am 26 years old and I've been allergic to dogs and cats, anything with fur my entire life. So my friend has a golden doodle and I'm not allergic to golden doodles, like the only dog that I'm not allergic to. And so my mom and I decided that we were going to get our own set of golden doodles. And so I will be adopting the boy and then my mom will be adopting his sister. And we're going to raise them together. So I'm really, really excited. They're cute little potatoes.
Oh my goodness. And please, please, please keep taking pictures. I know you're a regular that comes to MATHurdays often. So we actually like to see these little puppies grow up. There's some people that come that have pictures of grandkids and whatnot, and we get to see them too. So definitely bring them along.
I definitely will. I'm still trying to decide on a name. So the girl's name is going to be Winnie. And so I'm thinking either like Bailey or Teddy because he looks like a little teddy bear. But I don't know. His personality is very calm and relaxed. And so I feel like I need to kind of hang out with him a little bit more once he arrives, kind of really solidify his name. But really excited.
Very cool. And Trina, welcome from Canada. What are you doing to enjoy your weekend?
I'm doing a little bit of organizing, getting ready for next week. I'm moving to online learning because there was a case at my school. And so, yeah, the weather's great. The sun is out. So I might get out with my dog. But we're staying safe. No vaccinations yet for us.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, this is Successes and Celebrations. It's a great way for everyone to have a voice. You can even see some of the back and forth that's happening here with people writing little woohoos, comments in arrows and hearts. And it's just a great way to have an unstructured space where kids can show all that they know how to do in the virtual environment. We're going to move now into our math routine, and with us today is a pre-service teacher who is in my mathematics methods course that I teach at George Mason University. This is Meg. If you're a regular, you'll notice that Meg is a familiar face. Meg's been joining us for MATHurdays several times this semester. And as part of an assignment that Meg is doing, she is going to lead us in our math routine. And so at this point, Meg, I'm going to let you take it away. You can join us down on slide 7, and let's see how mean, median, mode, and range can play a part in a math routine. Go ahead, Meg.
Thank you, Dr. Wills, for the intro, and hi, everyone. Please pick a box and let me know how many birds do you think are in this picture of a murder of crows. Sorry if I seem a little bit nervous as well. We're getting some great numbers. I'll give you a few more seconds to write down your value, and then we'll move on to the next slide. All right. If everyone's ready or just about, you can always add your number and move along with us in the next chance if you want to. We're just going to copy and paste your boxes onto slide 8, and could you please arrange them on the number line from smallest to biggest? Smallest being over on the left and large being over on the right. And feel free to spread this out as much as you like. All right, looking good. I'll just give you one more moment to finish up. Okay, I think that we've got it about where we want it to be. And if you could please join me on slide 9 when you're ready. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're about to do some group work, and based on your birthday, please go to one of the following groups, and we'll all work together to find these different measures of center. So if your birthday is in spring, you'll be working on range and so forth. And Dr. Wills, could you please help me to set up the breakout rooms?
Yeah, you know what? I know not everybody is as familiar with Collaborate, so I'll just do 4 random groups.
Okay.
And then we can pop into those groups and just make sure everyone knows which one that they're in.
Okay, that works too.
All right, so you're automatically going in a group right now. Go ahead and turn on your microphone and say hello to your new group mates.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, group 1. If you want to put your work on slide 11, you're going to find the range.
Okay.
Is that what we're doing?
It's that's the
Hi,
winter
group
group.
4. Yeah, if you all could do the mean, that's down on slide 17. Just find the mean of the data points that we all gave.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hi there,
Is the
group
mode
3. If you want to work on the mode on slide 15.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah.
Is the mode 350? Am I right?
A lot of numbers in between 275 and 450 that is not here, if that makes sense.
Hi there, group. Just making sure that you knew what slide to put your work on. Slide 13 is asking for the median.
Thanks, Teresa.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you think we can go with 275? Does that make sense, or?
Yes, we could go with that.
Okay, so let's do 275. And the question is, how valuable is this number?
Get a 20.
Okay. 2.5. I guess that's where we put it in the box at the top.
Yes.
How valuable is this number? Oh my goodness.
No, wait.
All right, Meg, sorry for the switch there. I probably should have mentioned that earlier, that the birthdays work really well, but they need to kind of know collaborate. And I know a lot of people here are used to Zoom. So Meg, I noticed that they have all 4. Should we go ahead and pull them back?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
Sorry, I was trying
Welcome
to figure out how
back
to
to the
move
main
into a different
room.
group.
Okay,
Well,
I'm
that's
looking.
okay.
Hi, folks. We're all back together now. There were some bonus questions there that Meg wanted to leave for you in case you decide to do this with your students. But we are going to keep moving on ahead. And Meg, go ahead and take it away. I think we're down on slide 18. And Meg, just make sure you have your microphone on.
Oops, sorry everyone. All right, I hope that was helpful for everyone. And if the person who wrote the final value for your group could please add it to the same colored box here, that'd be great. And if one person from each group could please also drag these arrows to point to the 2 or one number that is most valuable on the number line for your for your group. Sorry, I get a little bit nervous. All right, this is looking great. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, and once we get 2 more arrows on here, I'll just ask everyone to please take a moment to write in the comment section on Blackboard Collaborate what your thoughts are about this exercise and what measure center you think is most appropriate, and why do you think that? And you can press enter whenever you'd like. It's my hope that this exercise has been more fun and happy rather than scary, as the joke on slide 19 says. But yeah, if you could please take a minute whenever you're ready and just write your comments there, that would be great. All right, I like Dr. Will's comment about 350 just shows popularity, not average. If anybody has any trouble with figuring out where to put your comment, please let me know. It's over where we're having our Blackboard Collaborate meeting. Okay. That's a very interesting comment, Dan. Well, we're running a bit low on time, so if you didn't get a chance to write it in, at least please make note of it for yourself or keep thinking about it. I'll be passing the torch on to Dr. Wills now, and you'll have a chance to unpack your thoughts a bit more in the lesson to come. Thank you, everyone, for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
Thanks so much, Meg. And thanks everyone for participating here in our routine. I think it's a really great routine for talking about mean, median, mode, and range. And like, what does it mean? What is it? And Meg, you did a nice job with the presentation here. So we're going to unpack this a little bit more in a task. And before we do the task, I would like to offer everyone an opportunity to take a problem-solving oath on slide 22. I'll say it out loud. You all can type your name in the chat box if you want to pledge this today. I, Teresa, promise to try my best. I will make sense of patterns and numbers. I will use manipulatives and drawings. I will make mistakes. I will ask questions. I will listen to other ideas. I will stay engaged by always trying to find another solution or representation. I am a problem solver. I make the world a better place. So folks, so often we talk about mean, median, mode, and range, whether this is elementary or middle school, we talk about it in terms of calculations to find something. Today, we're going to talk about mean, median, mode, and range as a purpose of talking about wealth and how much money people have. Each group has a series of slides. If you join me on slide 23, you'll get to see what group 1 has. There's a place for every single person in your group to respond. The questions kind of are guiding you through several different countries and looking at their wealth. And eventually, there is a PBA at the end where you can make country D, like the wealth that you think country D should have. Group 2 starts on slide 28. You can also notice but the color banner at the top. And once you're in your breakout rooms, go ahead and say hello to your new partners and just kind of enjoy working through this as we look at different nations and the way that wealth is distributed. Let's see. Alrighty, we have our groups and I'm going to start it now, so turn on your mic and say hello.
Good morning.
Hi,
Hello
folks.
everyone.
You are in group 1, so you'll start on slide 23.
Thank you, Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we each have 10 citizens. So each person, or each Everyone's personal wealth is listed in thousands of dollars.
Sinus gets really infected, so that's
Oh,
what
no.
happened this spring break. Well, it's just
Oh.
how my body was like, you're on break, so we're just gonna.
Hi there, group. I see you're already getting started, which is fabulous. Just to let you know, you're group 4, which means you'll start on slide 38.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem, I have, it's not a fun time of year. Sometimes it's not fun at all. Hope you feel better.
Thank you. I feel much better now that school's about to start, so I'm like good to go.
Not fair. Maybe your body just needed a rest.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
Whoop.
Hi there, group 1. What do you all think about this? There's room for each person to write. And which country do you think you'd rather be in?
I want to be in blue country. I didn't know the name of the country, so I just said blue. And basically because the average income appears to be about the same for the 10 citizens. So that means the wealth or lack thereof is equally distributed.
Yeah, and that wealth is $100,000. So, like, I don't know about anyone
Yeah.
else here. Your teacher salaries, I would definitely like to have an increase.
I have to tell you, Teresa, I've been teaching now for over 30 years and I've yet to reach 60,000. Matter of fact, I just broke 50,000 on my taxes this year. So
I would love to see teachers paid equitably for the amount of work that they put in.
yes, we put in a lot of hours and a lot of time. But then again, you know what? I haven't met too many teachers that got into this business for the money.
Mm-hmm.
We do it, for the kids, and I enjoy teaching. I enjoy working with the kids, the parents, my colleagues. But yeah, I could. But I selected it because I didn't even really look at. I have to be really honest. I didn't even look at how much money it was. I looked more at the equity.
Mm.
I went across and I looked and I went, well, that wealth is equally distributed. I saw that the majority of the blue bars were about the same. So I hadn't even went far enough to look at how much it is. Now that I know all of us are, all those 10 people have got about $100,000, it works.
And it looks like your group is nicely diverse here in people who would prefer to be in red, green, blue. There's different rationales for reasonings why, which is great because that's going to lead you into your next question. Oh, and I can already see people are even changing their minds. On slide 24, it's going to ask you to make some calculations and to find the mean and median of those 3 different countries and, kind of describe the situation here. So keep on with your discussions, group.
Thank you, Teresa.
Been an interesting year. All right, so we have the mean for the first one because it's all 100.
So you guys just said the mean is all 100, but did you actually do the calculations where you add them all up and divide by how many there were?
Well, I think that we had just done it for country A.
Yeah, we just did it for A. So it's all 100. So there's 10. So that's 1,000. And 1,000 divided by 10 is 100.
And I'm going to double check for country B.
You're making me second guess my math.
Oh, yay. That means you're thinking flexibly. Yeah, so there's different ways we can find mean. We can add them all up, divide by how many, but we can also look at what mean actually means. And it means the average across. So if we look at all the blues, could you just tell me in an instant what the average is?
Wouldn't it just be 100?
I would think so.
Yeah. So think about that reasoning that you have. You are correct. Think about the why behind it.
I mean, it reminds me of the video for visual maths that I attached to the mean group for the routine, where it shows how the average essentially is when you can take some from each group and level it out and see like, okay, so this is what happens when you have an even distribution sort of thing.
There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 different slides to work with too.
Hi there, group.
Okay.
So,
Hi.
what country would you like to be born into if you're going to be random? Like, you don't know if you're going to be person 1 or person 10. Which country are you all thinking about that you would like to be born into?
We were thinking either red or blue.
Not green, huh?
No.
How come?
No.
Well, 1. Look at 1. You make no money. Be living in the street, maybe.
I mean,
It's just the
looked at
chances.
green.
I feel like there's some probability in it too. Like the chances of you being number 10 is 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you never know.
That's true.
Depending on my luck, I'm pretty sure I'd be number 1.
Well, yeah, and even
Me too.
7 out of 10 are going to make less money than the blue. Like, so
Right.
Yes.
you have a good chance of actually not having wealth. You all have great discussions. Let's start to calculate some things. Move on down to slide 34 and see what those calculations look like.
Okay.
What's, oh yeah.
Hi there, group. I can see that you are on slide 39, calculating the mean and median. And I wonder, when I teach mean and median, I usually teach like kind of this formula. But I wonder for country A, did you need to know any formulas in order to find mean and median?
No, because they're all level across the top.
So that actually lets
it's
me
very
know that you have a strong conceptual understanding of mean and median. Can you try and unpack that a little bit? Like, why don't you need to use a formula?
Mean means leveling out. So if you can take the top parts and level them out with the low parts, then when it levels out, that's the mean.
Very cool.
Yeah, another way you can think of it is you add it all together and then you divide it by the number. So if you were to do it algebraically, you just have terms completely cancel, and you just get with your, I guess, typical item.
Yeah. Oh, and I see you found the range. Was that range surprising on slide 40 at all?
It makes sense, actually, because it goes to show you how the statistics of saying median income can be so manipulative, because you can have billionaires essentially throw off the mean, because when the range is huge, that kind of tells you a lot more than the median alone can.
It's a really powerful statement. It reminds me of a joke that I kind of don't find very funny, but I always bring up in stats classes, and it will go something like this, like Warren Buffett and 5 teachers enter an elevator, and someone says, "Hey, look, on average, we're all billionaires."
Yeah. Reminds me of another joke where I forget exactly what it's like. You have a mathematician, an engineer, and a statistician. And the engineer, they're out hunting, shoots too far to the left on the first shot. And then the mathematician shoots too far to the right. And then the statistician says, "Ha ha, we got him."
That's way better than mine. I love it.
Yeah, feel free to use it. It's not my joke.
They were both funny.
So I see you all are putting a response in on slide 40, which is great. Sometimes when I look at data and I see a range that is so extreme like this, I start to wonder, like, should we eliminate like that top one? And that's what your next slide will be looking at. If we just eliminate like person number 10, and things change a little bit, and it's interesting to look at the data. So I hope you enjoy that exploration.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, median would be a better measure, correct?
Definitely. Because it does eliminate the outliers and
I heard someone
Yeah, you
mention the
didn't
word
realize.
outlier. What does that mean?
the value that's, and I know there's a statistical purpose, it's like 1.5 times the interquartile range away from the actual median, something like that. But a value that's so far above or so far below the more middle values that it really skews the data.
And do you see an outlier here at all?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, the green has, I don't know even how many outliers. I don't know if the green will have maybe 4 outliers, or the 410,000 is the big outlier. But if you went and looked at statistical, how they ask you to find the outliers, I'm not sure, there might be more than one.
That
But
8
that one's
might be it also.
Definitely.
I mean, just the fact that the 10th person is getting 400,000 and the first person is getting 8,000, that are both extreme outliers regardless. So I agree, there could be different outliers, but the fact the first and the last one are extreme outliers, that makes sense.
If we put this in terms of school, like which person is making the $8,000, hopefully it's just a part-time, the bus driver who only drives 1 hour a day or something like that. So it's very much a part-time job. And then the 410,000 is the, I don't know.
Administration. Who knows?
State administration.
Yeah, we don't know. That's a good point, Lisa.
I'm bad. I look at Diane Ravage's blog, education blog, and charter schools. She talks about Eva Moskowitz in New York City with her salary and what she pays and pays herself, and it's well over 410,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, people can make a lot of money. I think in a country like America, the discrepancy between the incomes are really high, and
Yeah,
it's
I think
harder
so,
because the cost of living is the same for everybody, so that affects the income. Definitely affects your cost of living for sure.
Well, if you think about it, if you had to live in New York City, or what, where is it in California? Is it San Francisco or San Diego? I can't remember, where the cost of living is so high, virtually no public school teacher can live within the district. They can't afford to.
That's
And
great.
here in Texas, we have a lot of people moving from California just because the cost of housing in California is so high. And they come here, that's driving up the cost of housing in Texas because it's like, quote unquote, cheap for them here, but it's really making a big change in our cost of housing in Texas.
You know,
Yeah, because when you have more people coming into the, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I used to be an econ major, so for me, it's a lot about supply and demand. If you have more people coming into a state because cost of living is affordable, they're bringing in so much demand, your prices are going to go up regardless. That's just how it works.
It's
Raha,
like
you
right now
mentioned-
in my little town, housing is almost non-existent. They're building little condos constantly, and I'm like, how do people?
I feel like there's a little bit of mischief in that voice.
It was definitely a fun laughter there.
Oh my gosh.
All right, next one. All right, so we have, so if we ignored the richest person, what does that mean? Median and range say about these three countries.
I'm gonna calculate for country C, I think.
Okay, I will do B.
Oh my gosh, that kid though. And
It was funny.
I'm sure you're gonna have.
When they give median teacher salaries, they'll throw in the superintendent's salary, which is completely much higher than any of the rest of the teachers, or administrative salaries along with ours. And that's why I don't like the median in that case.
Correct, because
Oh,
even if you
pardon me,
look
not
over
the median. That's why I don't like the mean in that case, because there's that extreme being included. That's why I think in the case of the green one, I prefer the median because I think it's more the typical people. Oh no, wait,
but that doesn't match for the others.
but on the others, your median and your mean are exactly the same.
Hi, group. So if your median and mean are the exact same in country A and B, I mean, like, what other types of data information would be useful to be able to distinguish between A and B? I mean, they look the same on paper here with blue and red.
Maybe we want to know the mode.
Mode would be really useful. Yep. The next slide has, I can see someone's already started to fill it out. It's got range. You can also think about mode, but now these numbers look very different. And like, kind of, what on earth does that mean?
The green is extreme, right? From $8 to 410.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get to the next slide.
Yeah,
There we go. I couldn't get to it.
So that country
there's a
C
large
is so
inequality.
extreme.
yeah, a lot of inequality there compared to country A,
Right.
which is very.
Which makes me wonder, if you notice on slide 26, what if we just eliminated that top one, that number 10? Do you think this would turn out to be a little bit more equitable? And if so, go ahead and put the values in it and see what you noticed.
Okay.
Yeah, because your range is for country C is over 400. So let's see what happens if we get rid of the rich person.
Get rid of the red.
Me thinking about it differently, but now that you say that, you're right. Like, I use the pledge as a moment of like silence. Like, you can say a little prayer if you want. I don't know.
Right. That's what we have a moment of silence after that as well.
Tool for, oh, maybe this is it.
What are you looking for?
How to create the bar graphs like she did.
Oh, you know what, group? If you're, one of the things that I do with my students is I have them estimate bar graphs. And so simply by taking the rectangle shape, I have them kind of put in their own representation. So here I've got something that looks like it's about 140, and it's not super accurate, but by making them estimate the height of these rectangles, there's actually a lot more mathematics in there that makes them think flexibly as they're also filling in their table.
So what are you, Dan? Where are you?
Slide 42, yeah.
Okay. What are you gonna put in?
I'm not sure.
Are we just putting random numbers here, or?
We're supposed
I mean,
to
I'd
design
prefer-
our own country.
I mean, I'd want to essentially emulate country A, or whichever one had the equal distribution.
Do you? Interesting, because back on slide 38, somebody started putting in red, but it's gone now. And then there's a on the top box. And now
Hello,
Back
everyone,
on.
and welcome back to the
Country
main
B.
room. Hi there. I know, I hope that these slides can be so much fun for you if you do this with your students as well. This is what I would typically do in a multi-day class where you had those kind of single answer slides at the beginning, maybe day one, and then you had this PBA, this project-based assessment on your final slide where you're making country D. And this making country D might actually take up several days because first you're just trying it out and then you realize, oh wait, we need to make sure that we have this number for our mean, our median, our range, and it becomes actually quite complex as students manipulate the data more and more and more. But there's some key things that I wanted to talk about in our discussion. So often in mathematics, when we talk about mean, median, mode, and range, we do things like say, add them all up and divide by how many there are, or take the largest minus the smallest. And we don't always have context. And this problem, which I did get from Mathalicious, looks at context in wealth of 3 different nations. And there's a couple of major things that I'd like to bring up here. And the first one, I'm going to ask Stephanie if you can tell us a little bit about the mean. And specifically, Stephanie, I'm on slide 29. And I'm curious for you, did your group have to calculate the mean for the blue country, or were you able to just kind of see it? How did you calculate mean for blue?
So originally I was like, it has to be 100 because if you have all 100, then I mean, there's no other option to really move it to a higher or lower number. But when he came into my group and was like, hey, and questioned me about it, I second guessed my math. But yeah, I mean, there's 100 for each. So if everyone's getting 100, then the average has to be 100. The other country B and country C, we had to calculate for because it wasn't visually there. I mean, you can definitely get an estimate, but it definitely had to calculate that one.
Absolutely. So there is this kind of weird way of seeing this blue and maybe being untrusting of it. And that's what we want our students to do, right? We don't want them to just memorize a formula. We want them to see if they can make the connection and then be hesitant about it and go back and try and use reasoning to showcase it. Similarly, Gail mentioned the median and specifically what that means in terms of typical. Gail, can I have you kind of share with us how median and typical, like the conversation that you all were having in your group?
So we were talking about how one large value could throw off what was most typical, that median is often more typical for like even house prices and things and scores for students in a class. If one person gets a 0, it might throw off the whole class, and that median's often more typical.
Indeed. So we've got this kind of this idea of typical. And then there was another word. So instead of using the word mean, Stephanie mentioned this way that we could look at this balance, this kind of redistribution. Gail talked about median as being typical, and Raha mentioned the term range as discrepancies. Raha, I'd love to hear from you. I think you all were on slide 35. Can you tell us what discrepancy means in terms of range?
I think that was Lisa. Lisa, would you like to share? I don't mind sharing, but that was Lisa's idea.
Oh, great. Yeah, thanks, Raha. Yeah, Lisa, what do you mean by discrepancies?
We were really looking at the income inequality, so the discrepancy between what people are able to earn in their situations, I think.
And what does that look like on our graph? How do we see discrepancies?
I think we also talked about how for country C, the extremes, so for person 1, it was $8,000 for their income, and for person 10, it was 400. So this discrepancy between person 1 and person 10 is really high based on our ranges. Like the range is 410, and the highest income person 10 was earning is 410,000. So I mean, it's just not fair.
And adding, we didn't say this, but it's like that richest person makes like 50 times what the poorest person does in this set of 10 people.
Wow. And I wonder if that richest person is working 50 times as much as that poorest person.
Teresa, as you were saying that, I was thinking about like, if I had to pick a country, it would still be country B, because I still want to, as an econ major, you think about like people specialize in their fields. Some people make money based on their specialization. So if I was country A and everybody was earning 100,000, 100,000, like I don't know if they're all making it based on their skills or some are just, like you mentioned, for person 10. Sorry, I had to say it.
Yeah, so this is actually what this video we're going to watch is talking about, is do we want to live in country A, B, C, or would we prefer D? So the focus of today was to really unpack mean, median, mode, and range. We have that blue country that has a median and a average that are identical. We have others that slope differently. And then to get us to really think about the United States, and this video is a little dated, it's from 2012. I do have a video on slide 55. I'm going to try and share it, but I don't know that the sound is working for me, so you might need to play it on your own on slide 55. But we'll go ahead and watch this, and we'll come back, and at any time during the video, feel free to throw in the chat box anything that you are noticing, and it'll be really neat to see what reactions we get from this. So without further ado, on slide 55, I'm going to turn off my mic, and let's take a look at this video here.
There's a chart I saw recently that I can't get out of my head. A Harvard business professor and economist asked more than 5,000 Americans how they thought wealth was distributed in the United States. This is what they said they thought it was. Dividing the country into 5 rough groups of the top, bottom, and there's a chart I saw recently that I can't get out of my head. A Harvard business professor and economist asked more than 5,000 Americans how they thought wealth was distributed in the United States. This is what they said they thought it was. Dividing the country into 5 rough groups of the top, bottom, and middle 3 20% groups, they asked people how they thought the wealth in this country was divided. Then he asked them what they thought was the ideal distribution. And 92%, that's at least 9 out of 10 of them, said it should be more like this. In other words, more equitable than they think it is. Now that fact is telling, admittedly, the notion that most Americans know that the system is already skewed unfairly. But what's most interesting to me is the reality compared to our perception. The ideal is as far removed from our perception of reality as the actual distribution is from what we think exists in this country. So ignore the ideal for a moment. Here's what we think it is again. And here is the actual distribution. Shockingly skewed. Not only do the bottom 20% and the next 20%, the bottom 40% of Americans barely have any of the wealth. I mean, it's hard to even see them on the chart. But the top 1% has more of the country's wealth than 9 out of 10 Americans believe the entire top 20% should have. Mind-blowing. But let's look at it another way, because I find this chart kind of difficult to wrap my head around. Instead, let's reduce the 311 million Americans to just a representative 100 people. Make it simple. Here they are. Teachers, coaches, firefighters, construction workers, engineers, doctors, lawyers, some investment bankers, a CEO, maybe a celebrity or two. Now let's line them up according to their wealth. Poorest people on the left, wealthiest on the right, just a steady row of folks based on their net worth. We'll color code them like we did before based on which 20% quintile they fall into. Now let's reduce the total wealth of the United States, which was roughly $54 trillion in 2009, to this symbolic pile of cash. And let's distribute it among our 100 Americans. Well, here's socialism, all the wealth of the country distributed equally. We all know that won't work. We need to encourage people to work and work hard to achieve that good old American dream and keep our country moving forward. So, here's that ideal we asked everyone about. Something like this curve. This isn't too bad. We've got some incentive, as the wealthiest folks are now about 10 to 20 times better off than the poorest Americans. But hey, even the poor folks aren't actually poor, since the poverty line has stayed almost entirely off the chart. We have a super healthy middle class with a smooth transition into wealth. And yes, Republicans and Democrats alike chose this curve. 9 out of 10 people, 92%, said this was a nice, ideal distribution of America's wealth. But let's move on. This is what people think America's wealth distribution actually looks like. Not as equitable, clearly, but for me, even this still looks pretty great. Yes, the poorest 20 to 30% are starting to suffer quite a lot compared to the ideal, and the middle class is certainly struggling more than they were, while the rich and wealthy are making roughly 100 times that of the poorest Americans, and about 10 times that of the still healthy middle class. Sadly, this isn't even close to the reality. Here is the actual distribution of wealth in America. The poorest Americans don't even register. They're down to pocket change, and the middle class is barely distinguishable from the poor. In fact, even the rich between the top 10 and 20 percentile are worse off. Only the top 10% are better off. And how much better off? So much better off that the top 2 to 5% are actually off the chart at this scale. And the top 1%, this guy, well, his stack of money stretches 10 times higher than we can show. Here's his stack of cash, restacked, all by itself. This is the top 1% we've been hearing so much about. So much green in his pockets that I have to give him a whole new column of his own, because he won't fit on my chart. 1% of America has 40% of all the nation's wealth. The bottom 80%, 8 out of every 10 people, or 80 out of these 100, only has 7% between them. And this has only gotten worse in the last 20 to 30 years. While the richest 1% take home almost a quarter of the national income today, in 1976, they took home only 9%, meaning their share of income has nearly tripled in the last 30 years. The top 1% own half the country's stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. The bottom 50% of Americans own only 0.5% of these investments, which means they aren't investing. They're just scraping by. I'm sure many of these wealthy people have worked very hard for their money. But do you really believe that the CEO is working 380 times harder than his average employee? Not his lowest paid employee, not the janitor, but the average earner in his company. The average worker needs to work more than a month to earn what the CEO makes in 1 hour. We certainly don't have to go all the way to socialism to find something that is fair for hardworking Americans. We don't even have to achieve what most of us consider might be ideal. All we need to do is wake up and realize that the reality in this country is not at all what we think it is.
All right, folks. So this video came out in 2012. The biggest criticism is that it is dated, and things have changed very much since this video came out. But I am really struck by Karina's message here. Makes me sad, and this will be hard to change. The challenge that I have to all of you educators, whether you're here live or watching it after the session, is when we teach mean, median, mode, and range, are we talking about number of watermelons in a shopping cart? Or are we talking about something meaningful that students might actually learn about and be able to change as they're developing into young adults who can vote soon and can make a point to act in politics? So this lesson does come out of Mathalicious. I put the links to that lesson throughout, and I'll also put it in here. If you're interested in the lesson, the Mathalicious lesson actually looks at box and whisker plots. So those of you teaching middle school or early in statistics lessons who are looking for a visual way of looking at this data can really see the way that the different countries look in terms of their distribution in a box and whisker plot. Finally, I give you all that last slide in your slide deck, making country D. This is a harder task than it looks on paper because students, even if they put like what they would like it to be, they then have to go back and tweak the numbers so that the mean is 100, which is actually kind of harder to do. And then they have to retweak it looking at their range and their median. And it really gives them opportunities over multiple instances to try out calculating the mean, the median, mode, and the range. So folks, I hope you enjoyed today's MATHurdays. If you have questions, I'm going to be taking any questions. I'll stay on as long as you want. If you want to see other topics brought up in MATHurdays, you can take these lessons and bring them into your classroom. Put those on slide 57. But I hope that this was a meaningful, pun intended, way of looking at mean. So happy MATHurdays, everyone, and let me know what questions you all have.